The schools are grooming your kids. Sorry, just got to put it out there. It's something.
Burst the bubble.
Yeah, burst the bubble there. Just get the needle and pop it right there. It's not looking good, to be perfectly honest, especially if you're living in California, although why are you living in California? So here we've got David Atherton posting an Epoch Times article on Twitter talking about in Salinas, California, an LGBT school group was caught grooming children to come out as trans. The teachers ordered her mother, Jessica Conan, to use male pronouns on her 12-year-old daughter, and when confronted, the teachers called child services on her. Now, this is part of a larger overall story which has come out to kind of a boiling point last night when there was a parent-teacher conference with obviously the parents of all these children and the teachers who are doing this to them. But just to get a little bit of the lead up first, we've got this information. So if we go on, we've got Epoch Times, never heard of them before, but they've got some good information on all this. Yeah. There's good articles, so check them out. Talking about the leaked audio from a California Teachers Union Association meeting revealed how California teachers recruit kids into LGBTQ clubs. The two teachers in question, just because I don't think their names are mentioned in here, or at least in the stuff that I've got excerpts from, are Laurie Caldera and Kelly Baraki, just to know that, just for when the clips show later. So a leaked audio recording reveals two teachers at a recent California Teachers Association conference mocking parents over their concerns about homosexual and transgender indoctrination at schools, says a source who attended the event in Palm Springs, California. So I can only assume this source is another teacher, so it is good to see that there are teachers who are in the middle of this and going, hold up, this is nonsense, this is dangerous, we need to get the word out there. So
salutes in the chat.
Yes, God bless you to whoever leaked all of this. The recording obtained by the Epoch Times captured two 7th grade teachers employed by Buena Vista Middle School in Salinas, California, telling other teachers how to recruit students into these clubs, known as Gay Straight Alliance clubs at school. It was horrifying to listen to not just one teacher, but really all of the teachers in all of these seminars excoriating parents, said the source. The teachers mocked parents for their concerns and suggested they know better than parents about what's best for their children. They laughed at the parents. The sold-out CTA conference, billed as the 2021 LGBTQ+ Issues Conference, Beyond the Binary, Identity and Imagining Possibilities, was held on October 29th to 31st. I mean, that title just says it all, really, doesn't it? I mean, it literally says it all, because it just keeps going.
I think it was the Biden admin who recently said that, what was it, parents are to be considered
terrorists?
Stakeholders? No, not just the terrorist thing, but also just stakeholders in their child's education. So it's just like, you're just part of the pie. You're not the main part either. You're not even a majority. You're just part of it.
No, your children are state property now. Yeah. And that is the way that these sorts of teachers are approaching it. And they're approaching it not just from the perspective of state property, they're approaching it from the perspective of my property. These aren't your kids now, these are my kids, and I get to raise them how I see fit.
Okay, groomer.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, there's more on that, just how explicitly it lines up with grooming techniques in a little bit. But yeah, the CTA has hosted similar sexual orientation and gender identity professional development training for at least 2 years, according to an event notice posted on the UTLA website, which asks teachers, do you have the courage to create a safe environment that fosters bravery to explore sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression? And now, middle school, from what I'm aware, starts when these kids are about 11 or 12, because obviously it's different over in America. What does exploring these kinds of sexual themes mean for an 11-year-old? It just sounds wrong to me, and I think most people as well. Teachers at the conference also suggested that parents who refuse to call their child by pronouns of the child's choosing should be arrested and charged with child abuse. The two teachers from Buena Vista led a workshop called How We Run a GSA in Conservative Communities. So all this is being set up specifically to subvert the wishes of the parents.
I mean, look at that. That's a direct attack. It's like, how do we operate this in a conservative zone?
Yeah, how do we turn their children into people they will hate? We've mentioned Peterson, that's the exact opposite of his advice.
The steelman would be, of course, that, we're just trying to create a space in which gay people in, let's say, like Westboro Baptist Church neighborhoods can be all right. And I'm just like, I don't trust that that's the case.
Well, that's the thing. I've got a note saying they are trying to treat it like it's still like 70s and 80s conservative parents who are still got the gay panic going on. But no, we're in 2021. People don't really care about being gay as much.
There was an interview with Trey Parker about South Park recently I listened to, and it hits on that point perfectly. He mentions, okay, people have wondered why is South Park not cancelled when we're saying all this stuff about, obviously trans women are biologically men or all the rest of it.
Duh.
And he's like, dude, we thought this was going to happen years ago when we made like Stan's dog gay. like that used to be the taboo, and these days no. It is instead pointing out that there are different kinds of groomers in the room.
Yeah, the taboos have changed. People don't really care if that you're gay anymore. It's more just they recognize and can see from experience and the sort of stuff we're going to go on to that this is being pushed onto their kids when it's not rising up naturally. The kids aren't just turning to them and going, I'm gay. They're turning to them and going, well, my teacher told me that I might, I have these particular preferences, so therefore I'm a boy now. Is that sort of stuff going on? And they described obstacles they faced as activist teachers, very specifically activist teachers, in concealing the activities of these clubs from parents. In the audio clip, one teacher advised other teachers who led these groups to maintain an air of plausible deniability so they can play dumb if they're questioned by parents. And this just sounds like they've taken it straight from the groomer handbook, doesn't it? Because we are not official, we have no club rosters. We keep no records, said the teacher, who is an LGBTQ club leader. In fact, we sometimes don't really want to keep records because if parents get upset that their kids are coming, we're like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they came. We would never want the kids to get in trouble for attending if their parents are upset. This just sounds like they know what they're doing is wrong. To a certain degree, or at least they know that it's against the parents' wishes and they are trying to subvert it. She avoided naming her club a GSA. Instead, she called it an equity club and later changed the name to a UBU club, further going ahead to try and hide what they're actually doing. Teachers bragged about spying on students' online searches and activity as well as eavesdropping on their conversations to identify and recruit 6th grade students into these clubs whose membership roles are kept hidden from the parents. And that's just sickening. Really.
Stasi? What?
Yeah, I know, right? We totally stalked what they were doing on Google, one of the teachers said.
I'm pretty sure it's illegal for Google to do that, isn't it? Like to kids. Like, I remember Facebook getting in trouble because they were trying to advertise to below, what was it, 13? Something
like that. Well, this originally, I'll go on to that in a sec, but this originally came out through Abigail Schreier, who's the woman who wrote Irreversible Damage, which was a big controversial book earlier this year talking about the trans social contagion, I think is probably the best term for it. And I think what they were saying was that it's during IT classes, when they have access to see what the kids are doing while they're on the IT to make sure they're doing their work, they'll actually just keep an eye on what they're Googling to see if they Google anything that's even remotely related to the alphabet soup people. So, very, very immoral. And after information about the leaked audio was made public this week, Superintendent Tarallo's SUSD President McDoul and Kate they've all got American names. Kate Pagaran, the principal at Buena Vista Middle School, issued a letter on November 19th addressed to the SUSD community that the UBU club had been suspended. Thank God. SUSD states clearly teachers are prohibited from monitoring students' online activity for any non-academic purpose. Now, I understand, at least they've said something about it and done something about it, but you need to fire these people. You absolutely need to fire these people who are spying on kids and trying to subvert them against their parents' wishes. This is absolutely disgusting behavior and should not be acceptable in any school district anywhere. As I said, if we move along, Abigail Schreier is the one who talked about this originally. She got the information sent through to her, posted this big article on Substack. What she means with the social contagion of the trans stuff is how it's becoming more and more noticeable. Like, you'll get a group of friends in a school, one of them will come out as trans, and all of their friends will see all of the positive response they get because of the affirmative care that they get from the teachers, and then they'll all go like, oh, I guess I'm trans as well. Like 90% of their friends group will all come out as trans at the same time. And there's also a startling overlap between young girls doing this and also autistic girls doing this. So very much taking advantage of people, sadly.
This is also a criticism we've had in the UK, especially from like Douglas Murray and whatnot.
Yes.
Some kids are gay. No, you're not. You're trans as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They just see something. It comes from like what 20 years ago would have been considered some very sexist ideas about gender, like gender and stuff like that. They're like, oh, what? You're not the girliest girl imaginable? Turns out you're a boy. Yeah, that's basically that's the logic they're going with right here.
So they've gone all the way around. Yeah.
Yep. But she's got some more information in here that's quite interesting that I'll go through. So there's other subversion going on. It's not just in the classrooms that this is going on. Caldera, one of the teachers that I mentioned, says, I'm the teacher who runs our morning announcements. That's another type of strategy I can give you. I'm the one who controls the messaging. Everybody says, oh, Miss Caldera, you're so sweet. You volunteered to do that. Of course I'm so sweet that I volunteered to do that, because then I control the information that gets home. And for the first time this year, students have been allowed to put openly LGBT content into our morning announcement slides. 3 of the kids on the team, 2 of them are non-binary, and the other one is just very fluid in every way. She's fabulous. So it's actually a nice group. And the principal, she may flinch, but she flinches privately. So there's no true pushback from the higher-ups, and they're allowing these
But she's
people...
talking like a mobster.
I know, right? No, she's talking like a member of the Commissar or something. We control the information that gets to you. They are propagandizing
But also,
daily.
She's like made the principal into someone who is fearful of this individual.
Well, she's probably afraid that she'll get cancelled if she says anything about it.
Yeah,
Or that the
but that's
student
how the
union-
mob works.
Yeah, no. I mean, the student union seems to be a bit of a mob at this point. Well, not the student, I should say the teachers' union, from what I can tell. One parent objected so strenuously that the principal invited them to take their child to a private school that more aligns with them. So we're not going to solve any problems. Just go away. Get out is the tactic. Caldera can be heard to say, so that was a win, right? We count that as a win. Then Caldera added, plus I hate to say this, but thank you, CTA, but I have tenure. You can't fire me for running a GSA, and so you can be mad, but you can't fire me for it. CTA has made it very clear that they are devoted to human rights and equity. They provide us with these resources, and these tools. So the California Teachers Association is knee-deep in this sort of stuff. They are 100% for the diversity, inclusion, and equity ideals that they're trying to go for.
I'm just thinking in my head, I can't remember the last time I've ever heard anything good about a teachers' union in the United States. Like, I don't know what the hell's wrong with them, but they seem to be particularly poisoned.
They're all completely subverted and infiltrated. And now they know they can get away with it with no consequences, and they're laughing at us, which is great.
At least we have an admission, I guess.
Yeah, I know, right? If we move along, we can see some of the training documents. If you want to click on some of these, there's some highlights. So from this first one, you can see it's the Gender Sexuality Alliance. It is a student-led and student-organized. Doubt.
Just not true.
Yep.
By the own admission.
LGBT students in an elementary school setting. Once again, elementary school goes up to 11 to 12 years old. What on earth do you have to do with teaching that sort of stuff to children that young? It shouldn't have anything to do with their education. Moving along, if you want to scroll along, let's see. Yeah, here we go. Proactively thinking about potential concerns and pushbacks from parents, caregivers, and community members. So they know people aren't liking what they're doing, but we also need to think proactively about how we can head all this off.
We're going to groom kids, and we need to proactively think about how we're going to stop people complaining about that. And what we're going to do is we're going to accuse them of being homophobic or anything else.
Yes. Just a shout out as well, a lot of this information that we're coming up to now comes from Libs of TikTok, who posted a big thread about it that you can access in the reading list. They do fantastic work.
She's an absolute star.
As always, yes, she is. If you move along again through these images, you can see they say parents are not allowed to attend these club meetings because for privacy issues. You can go to the last image on here, John. You can see having back pocket responses ready for parent emails in case they express concern or worry. So this is a well-regulated operation that's going on. They know all the tricks in the book to be able to head any of this criticism off at the pass. It's pretty sketchy, to put it lightly. If we move along again, you can see the Spreckles Union School District, which is where all this took place in, released a statement saying that they will conduct a thorough investigation that will be completed by an independent third-party firm. This is what came out on the 19th of November after all this came out, and then they released another one. If you scroll down on the 23rd, which is where this comes from, they're saying that following investigative practices, the staff involved have been placed on administrative leave. The district's commitment to inclusion and the support of all students is still are top priorities. All students, including those in the UBU club, are encouraged to visit Buena Vista's Middle School's Wellness Centre on Wednesdays and Fridays during lunch. As if that's going to help. As if I don't believe that wellness centre is not also completely infiltrated
But hang on,
by this garbage.
they put these staff who have done this on leave.
By the sounds of it, yes. So that's at least something.
Because that's the thing. Like, we've seen this, there was the horrible situation in Virginia. There have been multiple situations in other states as well. I mean, you hate to think just how widespread this stuff is. Just has been going on for years, and finally the district's getting to the point where we're at least removing teachers. But how deep does the rabbit hole go is what's going on in my mind.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if you move along, it looks like the link isn't in there, but there's a article that I included in the reading list, which is the Teachers Union wants kids to pursue gender transition without parents. So that's fantastic. And that was from the beginning of last year. And it was back in 2013 in California under Democratic Governor Jerry Brown, passed a bill that allowed kids in schools to be able to attend, sports clubs and use bathrooms dependent on their own self-identified gender identity.
Kids.
Yes. So California's a hellhole. News just in. Breaking news. I know. So here's the article, California teachers. And it's got loads of information about that. If you move along to that next link, John. This all led up to last night, where there was a parent-teacher meeting about all of this situation at the Buena Vista Middle School, I can only assume. And you can see Libs of TikTok posted a photo from it. It's a bit packed. Much better attendance than you would expect from most parent-teacher meetings, where most parents are...
So this is another Virginia situation.
Yes, basically. All of the parents are absolutely furious. And if you move along, you can see here, this is the start of the thread from Libs TikTok. 2 teachers at California school reportedly coached a 12-year-old into a trans identity behind her parents' back. The school also changed her name and pronouns without informing the parents. And let's take a look at some of the clips from this mother going absolutely sick at these teachers, if you want to play this.
They didn't tell me that my child...
Oh, yeah. Or warning on the audio there.
You allowed these teachers to open their classrooms teaching predatory information to a young child, a mindful child that doesn't even know how to comprehend it all. How do you not know what was going on your own campuses? Did you think that no parent would ever come forward? You will not quiet me today. I will stand here today and protect my child along with every other child who has not come forward yet. Do they have psychiatry degrees that I was unaware of? Because I didn't hire them. Okay, I did not hire them to sit there and nitpick my child's brain. You took away my ability to parent my child. Even before I had any knowledge. I didn't even get to show support. You asked for support, I didn't get a chance. You planted seeds, Miss Caldera and Miss Baraki, Mr. Baraki and you, Miss Pagarin. Your job was to educate my child in math, science, English, etc. Do your job and let me do mine.
Yeah, so all the rest of the parents start applauding there, understandably. She's probably just vocalizing everything that they're feeling, very powerful, calling out the BS on them, saying, like, doing the playing dumb technique of, like, oh, I didn't know anything that's going on. She's like, do you expect me to believe that? What kind of idiot do you think I am?
This very much reminds me of Rotherham in a weird way. The fact that, like, these days, people ask the people of Rotherham and, older folks, just like, how the hell did this go on? And no one complained or whatever. And I feel like there's a similar situation with the obvious distinction between gays and queers, of course, as Douglas Murray makes it. There's gay people like Douglas Murray and all the rest of it, which live their lives. And then there are queer types who are always a bit suspect because their entire lives revolves around them being queer, and that's it.
Yes, and the politics that involved with being queer.
Yeah, and the fact that we as a civilization, or as the West, let's say, have allowed this to get, especially in the United States, this happened in the UK to this extent, of course, that there, when you see pictures of those, like a million different kinds of progressive flags in the classroom,
and
teaching and whatnot.
You see the sort of
30 years from now, we're going to be asking people, the other kids are going to be asking people, how the hell did all this go on and you guys didn't kick up a fuss?
I know, and then you see
the fuss is being kicked up.
You see the reading material that was available to the kids in Virginia, where it was like stuff called like genderqueer, where they could just open it up and, oh, there's a picture of a lesbian sucking on a strap-on. It's like, this is not appropriate material for anybody in school. This should not be in a school.
I'm converting to Islam at this point.
I know. Anyway. And also, just as a warning, teachers, don't piss off the mums, for the love of God. Like, the mums protect their children, and it's good to see women like this coming out and just being like, no, screw you, get lost. And if you want to play the next clip, John, there's a bit
You
more.
sat there and told me how my child was going to be. And then you wrapped your hands around her while I sat across the table and cried. Because you thought you could be there better than I, and I never got a chance. She was scared to even say anything. Your guys' voice were heard, not hers.
Yeah, so it does just sound like straight up grooming right there. They're gaslighting the mother with her own child. There is some more stuff, some more clips. There was another dad who spoke, but the audio was absolute trash. I didn't want to subject everybody to that, but he basically just said that they didn't mention anything to him when they first started telling him about all this stuff, about the suicide rate of trans people, because if he'd known about that, he would have been very worried to hear them talk about his daughter in that way. So you're pushing me my daughter onto something that is very, like, kind of like
41%.
Still up in the air about
You better be
how
damn sure that
successful
this is the case.
going on. He tells them to resign or repent, invoking the word of God right there, so good man. And then if you want to move on again, there is another dad who just says something quite profound in terms of the tactics they are using, if you want to play the clip, John.
These were teachers that we knew and supported in the classroom, and their actions have gone too far. They've used predatory tactics to push political activism on our school grounds to our children. How do I know they're predatory? As a volunteer in youth activities, you go through a lot of training. They train us exactly what to look for. You look for people that use their power of position or authority, which teachers in a school environment are in a power of position and authority. They single kids out. They look for kids that don't fit or are different or need attention. They did internet searches. They listened to conversations, and they looked for kids that were different. And they exploited them. They gave kids extra attention. They gave personal invitations to their club. That was the extra attention they needed. They allowed kids to do things maybe that their parents weren't particularly supportive of. Lastly, they withheld information from parents, and they created a system that didn't allow parents to check in on things.
Yeah, so that's pretty powerful, kind of difficult to listen to purely because of how you can hear his voice wavering as he's saying all that. But demonstration, this is textbook grooming. Like, everything is there. You're exploiting your position of power, exploiting the vulnerable children, breaking it off from the parents so they don't trust the parents anymore. Absolutely disgusting behavior. And another call later on in that clip for the teachers to resign, which is good to hear. I'm glad to see that these parents are all standing up and looking to protect their children. Excellent work there. There's a lot more as well that I included in this, but we're starting to move along a little bit of time, so I'll end it there. All I can really say is that make sure to protect your children. If you can, maybe try and get them out of the state's hand at this point, because let's be perfectly honest, nowhere is safe.
Find out what's happening in the school, and if that kind of thing's happening.
Yeah, get them out of there. And most of all, any teachers or any members of the teachers' associations and unions who are like this, you should get fired.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to subscribe and get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as this article, which is an article from Rory, in which he argues, despite its virtues, it's time to let the NHS die. So you can go in there, and also for Silver and Gold tier members, get the audio track in case you don't like reading, because reading sucks, and I sympathize. However, if you'd also like to find out what we're releasing on the site, you can also follow us on getter.com, so that is at lotuseaters_com there, and thank you and goodbye.